Hello again, this is William Zakora doing my quick video for the next module submission. I believe this was 4-2 tutorial. Let me just swap so I can see the rubric. Awesome. The first thing I had to do here was to create a destructible static mesh, which I have that under my meshes, static mesh 5DM. Now I didn't actually generate this in the level by default, so you can't find it anywhere in the level as of right now. What I did was I have the level blueprint, which I will drag in from off screen. On the event graph, I have two functions. I have spawn meteor, and I have solar flare. Spawn meteor here, solar flare here. So I use the timers for both of them. The first one is the timer for spawn meteor. I have it set for a random time between half a second and 2.5 seconds, so that they're kind of falling randomly. Like, it's not just a repeated pattern of a few meteors spawning and coming down. It's like you couldn't predict when they're going to come down. They're kind of coming down sort of randomly. So that's the spawn meteor function, which is here, over here. The spawn meteor function is literally just spawning the actor sphere blueprint. It's creating a... So I have it spawning the actor at the location of the target point, and the target point I will show you in a second is located up above the map. Which corner did I put it in? Right here. Okay, I was almost there. So I have a target point up here, and I'm using this as the origin for the spawn location. And then if I go into my sphere blueprint, which I will... Okay, it pop up on this side. My sphere blueprint is the box, which is collision, which I'm using this collision box as the bounding box for the spawn location of the... where they can spawn when they spawn. The point light system I put underneath. And the point light is just a small light underneath that gives it like a reddish hue underneath for this falling meteor. And then I'm using the particle system to make the fire as well. I gave it like a rock texture so it looks, you know, cool, I guess. So the event graph for the sphere blueprint here, I have it set the initial location by getting the location of the object itself when it spawns, which it's being spawned randomly around that target point. Then I set the current, so it spawns for a split second where the target point is, and then I created a location from the box extent with the initial location being the origin and then the box extent being the box extent, obviously. It returns that to the current location, and then I set the actor's location to that current location, so it moves immediately to a new spawn location, like within, like as soon as it spawns. Then it plays the timeline. The timeline has it going from the current location down towards the ground at an angle. This is the same thing that I had for my prior milestone, except now I've created it, I've modified it to do more. Sets the location, and then I have a branch here for the sweep. So if it collides with something, then it comes off the false tree, and what will happen is down here it'll turn the component of the static mesh invisible, and then it'll add a destructible component, which is the version that I made, that I showed, that actually breaks. It'll add that instead, static mesh 5DM. That was the one here. So it will add that mesh as a component to the blueprint, and then it adds -10 force on the z-axis to make it kind of hit the ground, causing it to shatter. And then it plays the sound of the location of the explosion, delays for about 2 seconds after that impact, and then it destroys the actor so that I'm not spawning a million of them and having them running all over the place. Up here I have a true branch, and on the true branch I have a 5-second delay, and then do once destroy actor, so that if it doesn't hit anything for 5 seconds, it'll also still delete itself. So if somehow it misses something, or it goes through the floor, or I've even had a couple of the meteors that they hit the ground, but for some reason the collision's not detected correctly, and the meteor just kind of rolls around as a sphere in the ground. They'll disappear after a second or two if they hit the ground like that, because they have a 5-second lifespan because of this. So that's the sphere blueprint for the meteor, and then this is the spawn meteor, so it spawns that meteor up at the target point, and then as you saw, the meteor itself moves itself to a random location once I spawn it. I also have a second event called Solar Flare on a 1-second timer. Solar Flare just sets the light color to a new random light color, the point light being the point light in my scene, which is down there. And it's set to a strong enough intensity that you'll see it, not too brightly, but you will see it. And you can see it, the shade of the ground turns green, yellow, purple, red. So it's generating new colors. Now, for my rubric, I had to create the destructible static mesh object, which I did, and as you can see, they're exploding all over the place. As an exploding sound, not only did I add an exploding sound, but I added a new sound attenuation so that the sound of the explosion is attenuated, so you can hear that one was on my right side. There's some on my left side here. Oh, there goes one of my boxes from the previous milestone. Neat. But yeah, so the sound's attenuated just like those guys were, so you'll hear it directionally in your ears if you're using headphones or if you have multiple speakers. Adds timer-based tick event, which, I mean, I have two. I have the meteors spawning, which is a timer-based tick event. You can see them spawning up there. And the time between them initially spawning and then being moved to the new location is so fast that you can't actually see them spawning at the target, which is nice. I will probably mess with this a little more because when they explode, it's hard to see it, but when they do explode, the component doesn't have a material. So I'll probably just add a material to the static mesh component, which that way they don't just look, it doesn't look like just this when it breaks. I will get to that. So that's my destructible static mesh, my exploding sound, my timer-based tick event, blueprint screenshot, which, I mean, the video had all of the different blueprints on display here, so you can just look at them as necessary. Close that. And then we will go over to Git Bash now that my Unreal is closed. I'm already in the folder, so what we'll do is we will add everything. And we'll call this submission of 4-2, so I know which time this was. Granted, nothing really changed, or not much really changed between the beginning and the end of this video, so we'll do the commit. And we should be good now. Nothing. Okay, great. So we'll git push. And that should bring up my Bitbucket up to speed. Let me open it over here. While that is doing its thing, looks like it's good. Let's log in. Let's go into my project, and I'll detach this from over here so I can bring it in. Here we go. This is my project. As you can see, the config and the myproject.u project were 23 minutes ago, which is when I added the meteors and the solar flare lights and then saved it, and now content, intermediate, and saved have been updated as of about a minute ago with my submission of 4-2 push. So there's that. Alright, so this one a little longer. I think I kind of rambled through my blueprint pages, but I tend to do that. Alright, so there's that. Oh yeah, you can ignore this Microsoft Word document. That's for my other class. Alright, well that's all I've got. So thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you for the next submission. Take it easy.